My name is Carolina García Jayaram, and I'm the CEO and President of the National YoungArts Foundation. So far, I've been getting to know our fantastic staff. We have 50 people on staff, so that's, it takes a long time to kind of spend quality time with everybody on staff, and that's been really wonderful because we have a terrific group of people here. And been getting to know our board as well. Our board is around the country, so spending time with most of our board members. And using the summer, which is our typically slower time, to think about our new strategic plan, working with our vice presidents on the implementation of that plan, and learning the systems of the organization. Each company, but especially every nonprofit, is such a unique organism. So getting to know the inner workings of the company and how the sausage is made. Yeah. My BA was in poetry and literature, comparative literature, but I was a competitive debater in high school and in college, and always loved the law, was always very attracted to the law and to extemporaneous speaking, and I just always loved sort of that way of communication, and believed when I was working in a nonprofit in New York, I was working at Penn, that I wanted to eventually run my own nonprofit arts organization. And so the choices were either an MBA or a JD, or at that time, a Master's in Arts Administration, which was a very new, degree. So I was a little bit nervous about going that direction. So the JD was just, a way to further my studies and give me the tools to run an organization, and I loved it. I loved law school. I think a law degree, teaches you to think in new ways, to make arguments in different ways. It gives people a confidence to present themselves in a difficult situation, to negotiate. You need law for everything in this world. And so running an organization like this, imagine that I'm dealing with labor laws, I'm dealing with real estate law, I'm dealing with, all kinds of law that, even though I'm not the lawyer of record on things, it's good for me to be aware of what's happening and understand how to read contracts and negotiate deals, yeah. My goals for Young Arts is that more people around the country know the work that we're doing. I think for 35 years we've been doing this extraordinary work of identifying the most talented young artists from around the country in every discipline, and well over 10,000 young people have gone through this program in those years. And yet, like many great nonprofits, our work is not often as known about as it should be. So I think, I'm focused on that, not because to get us better credit, but in order for more kids to know about the program, so that we can have more, we don't miss kids that are out there who should be going through this program. I'm also very interested in the ways that artists' lives are changing in the way that they work. The way that artists work today is very different than 10 years ago or 20 years ago. That's true for all sectors, how everybody's working. So for us to keep up with those times and to adjust accordingly in the way that we're running the core program, but most importantly in how we're developing the alumni program. So this is new for us, is to look at the many thousands of alumni who've gone through the program and thinking about, now that they're in their 20s and 30s, what can we provide them? What are we in a position to do to support their careers? We did so much for them in high school. They went through this program. It undoubtedly helped many of them choose a path in the arts as a career, to maybe get into a very good art school. It supported them in a very important way at that point. But now looking at them in their 20s and 30s, which is such another vulnerable period of their time, what we call a critical juncture, it's developing the programming that will help empower them and support that part of their career. So I'm really looking forward to evolving the organization to include that kind of alumni programming. So for all 35 years, we've been bringing kids from all over the country here to Miami for this program. About 5 years ago, we expanded that to then do a week, what we call the Core Week, Young Arts Week, a second time in Miami, and then another time in LA, and one time in New York. So now we do 4 of these core weeks, each of them with about 150 kids who go through the program. So now instead of 150 or 60 going through, it's about 800 going through the program. And so it is national. Kids come from all over the country, and now the alumni programming and the public programming will take place here in Miami, in New York, and LA. Those are sort of our 3 locations, but this is our headquarters. The first one will be Young Arts Week, which is January 7th.
Okay.
And we always start with the national program.
And you're obviously planning for that right now.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
we're in, this week I believe we start adjudications.
Okay.
So the application closed a couple of weeks ago, and then the jurying process starts, which is a major undertaking. It's 3 layers of adjudications. Well, an obvious change is technology. You know, that's changed everything for artists.
Yeah.
Whether you're a musician, you know, making your own albums and distributing them yourself without, you know, a major music company, or you're a visual artist doing video and what that means intellectual property-wise, to, you know, dancers and how they can reach much wider audiences. It's true across all disciplines. Technology's been a total game changer. So that's one obvious thing. And I think the way that artists are now working across disciplines, that they are through the course of their career not so much siloed into one discipline. They might start out as a dancer and then they end up being a playwright, or they end up wanting to make film, or they do all those things at the same time. And if they themselves aren't practicing across disciplines, they're collaborating a lot more across disciplines. So those are all, you know, I think really fundamental shifts. I think another one that we're really paying close attention to, it's always been around, but I think that more artists are aware of it and more funders and audiences are aware of it, are artists who are doing what we call social practice types of work, which is social, you can also call it social justice, or conceptual work that deals with social issues of our time. It's not really in the marketplace of ways of, you know, it's not something that you can buy and sell. It's more idea driven. It's to bring greater awareness or attention to an issue. It's not something we have per se focused on in our core program, though a lot of the artists who teach in that program are doing that kind of practice. So we've been working in these ways for a long time, but just my point was that what I'm looking forward to as a goal is to making sure that our core program is always very responsive to the ways that young artists want to work.